these rose petals were sitting in front of me on the synthesizer, and they were the rose petals that were from a performance I was supposed to do. So I'm in vocal lessons right now, and January was the first performance I was ever going to do.
Oh, wow.
I was like fully planning out the dances, even though you weren't even supposed to do dancing, but I was like, it's going to be a big production.
I love that. So you're having kind of an ordinary vocal recital and you're getting your backup dancers and rose petals ready for it.
Yeah. But the day of the performance, they found out that the place closed in an hour, and we had planned out like a 3-hour thing.
But the rose petals were on the synthesizer, and so that was the seed, or one of the seeds.
Right. All the plans we had before, all the rose petals left on the floor, all the performances I didn't get to perform.
All the plans we had before, all the rose petals left on the floor, all the tea time bunnies staring blank, wondering how's tea that's supposed to drink.
And then from there it kind of went different directions, of course.
Okay, I see what you're saying. The storyline shifted in the song?
Right, because all of a sudden, right after that, I'm talking about tea time bunnies.
So, yeah, were you watching Alice in Wonderland? Like, where?
No, that's what kind of perplexes me, because so many people are like, oh, you're doing like an Alice in Wonderland song, and I'm like, oh, I am? Like 3 months after, I'm like, oh, I guess I can kind of see the similarities, yeah.
You're like, I arrived to it in a wholly original path. So, I noticed elements from the Three Little Pigs, which, okay. So that I didn't make up.
Yeah, that was intended, of course. I don't know how I would just come up with sticks, straw, and bricks on my own.
That would be really strange, right?
Making dollhouses out of straw, making dollhouses out of sticks. What can I say? What can I say? You didn't leave me any bricks.
Where my mom kept all of her aesthetic stuff, kind of like ancient dolls, some of them shattered. It's all kind of creepy.
All the China dolls without their heads.
As a kid, I was always very creeped out in our house because my mom has too many clowns and fairies and dolls everywhere staring at you.
That makes sense. Did any of those dolls end up in your video?
Yep, they're all from that room. Because my mom used to have this little card making hobby she had where she'd take pictures of like dolls and trees. So she was like super creative. Now she's always like claims to have no creativity whatsoever. Like sometimes I'll ask her to like hold the camera for me. She'll be like, what do I do? And I'm like, I don't know, do something artsy that you used to do like for your cards. And she's like, what? But it's also blamed on me being a really bad director because I'm like, just do something, you know?
I love this, that you've recruited your family to be your production company, and you're like, you know how to use a camera, Mom? Just go with it.
Exactly. She's like claiming to have no creativity, and this whole song is about like having creativity, like working with what you have. So I thought trying to disprove that for her, like showing her like all these cool things she can do with my camera would help.
Brick by brick, you get what you get. I'll take the sticks. Brick by brick, you get what you get. You steal the bricks.
I wasn't sure, but it seemed like there were a couple of references to addiction in the song.
Not enough. A kitchen overspent and a dollhouse full of drugs.
What I was trying to portray is people's addiction to dependency for like anything.
Okay.
Like even just like kind of being dependent on waiting for an opportunity for something to happen.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Right. You're like waiting for someone to hand you your pile of bricks so you can, you know, build your house.
I was thinking that it was some kind of a relationship song, but maybe I just think every song is that.
Well, yeah, I was trying to have it both like political and relationship. So I was trying to do a balancing act where it could apply both ways. Was when the Black Lives Matter protests started, and I was thinking that it was like super close to what I was trying to say. Like if you look further into the protests about the systematic racism, it's basically about not everyone being given the same opportunities and the same resources, but like everyone trying to make it seem like, oh, no, it's like equality. Everyone's given the same things.
And if that's what you get, and that's what you choose, and then draw a crooked line and say it lines up two. And if that's what you get, and that's what you choose, and then draw a crooked line and say it lines up two.
Right, so that's the crooked line in your song, right?
Mm-hmm.
You draw a crooked line and
say it lines
you're
up
like,
two.
what's your problem with this? And and it is important to note that you're in Minneapolis.
I was trying to portray how you're the only one who really notices if you're not being cared for adequately, because like people just see it from their side, and it takes energy to be empathetic.
So that was a very refreshing conversation with Amelie Elmquist of Amelea, and I really enjoyed speaking with her. Before we end our program today, I'm going to send it off with Sandra Kluge, who has synesthesia, and when she listens to music, she gets all sorts of interesting visual impressions. So let's see what Sandra saw when she listened to Brick Dollhouse.
The strings at the beginning establish a deep and saturated purple, while the drums are gray and the vocals are like a chilly fog with yellow sparks. The beats that come in a little later are slippery and wet and orange. At some point, I got the image of an empty barrel. As the song moves on, the vocals turn more pink, especially during the piano vocal duo part. In general, I'm seeing lots of oval shapes here. The bass adds black and brown pebbles. In the vocal non-lyric interlude, I see fire going upward in streams. The last sentence in a dollhouse full of drugs is completely gray with just slight aftershadows of the previous pink and orange.
How fitting that it all goes gray with a little pink and orange at the end. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing your visual impressions with us. And thank you, Amelie Elmquist, for being my guest today. And thank you for listening to Song Story.